This is not a drill. Iran just warned the world that they're ready to enrich uranium to weapons grade and walk away from every deal that was meant to stop a nuclear war. And Russia, they're threatening to start a preemptive strike if the West doesn't back off. Guys, two regimes, both pointing the finger directly at the United States. Now, today, the world just took a massive step toward the unthinkable. Nukes, war games, sleeper cells, Israel bombing Damascus, Russian missiles aimed at NATO, and inside of the White House, President Donald J. Trump has just issued his most urgent warning yet. This is the most dangerous moment since the Cold War, and depending upon what happens next, it could become something far worse. So, do we wait to be attacked, or do we go ahead and strike first? Is this peace through strength or the start of World War III? And why no one in the mainstream media is telling you what's really going on? That should really concern everyone watching the show right now. And in just a minute, I'm going to show you the exact moment that Iran crossed the nuclear red line, what Russia's war doctrine really says about preemptive strikes, and why President Trump's 50-day ultimatum may be our only shot at avoiding catastrophe. But I'm going to warn you right now, once you hear what's really happening behind closed doors, you're never going to look at this situation the same way again. So buckle up, guys. This is not politics. This isn't speculation. This is the future of the country and maybe the world. So I want to go ahead and get right into it. If you appreciate the daily news updates, hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you so much, guys. Let's begin with what should shake every American to the core, because what we're facing right now isn't just one rogue regime lashing out. This is two hostile powers. I'm talking Iran and Russia openly aligning in what can only be described as a direct challenge to American power. Iran has made it clear they're done playing nice. They're threatening to enrich uranium to weapons grade. I'm talking a full 90% purity, the level needed to build a nuclear bomb. Not 5 years from now, not next year, but in a matter of days. Meanwhile, Russia, they're not even hiding it anymore. In response to U.S. support for Ukraine, the Kremlin officials are now pushing for preemptive strikes, including strikes that would involve nuclear capability. Let me ask you something. When two authoritarian regimes with ICBMs, cyber warfare units, and a shared hatred of the West both start talking about preemptive strikes, do you believe them? Because President Trump certainly does, and he's already responding with a level of urgency and clarity this country has not seen in years. But I want you to hold that thought just for a second, because what we're about to reveal, what I want to share with you guys, is going to show you just how far Iran may already be ahead of this curve here. So while the world is debating deals and deadlines, Iranian officials, they're making moves that could end in disaster. They've now confirmed that they're prepared to exit the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. This is a move that would strip away all international oversight. And here's the kicker. Experts are warning that Iran's uranium enrichment isn't just a treat in theory, okay? They're actually ready at 60% purity. And the jump to 90%, that is what is needed for a warhead. Guys, that could happen in like 7 to 10 days, maybe even faster. But it gets even worse than that. We've been hearing for months now about Iran's suspected stockpile of dirty bombs, radiological weapons that could be packed into a suitcase, driven across a border, and smuggled through a port. And now, intelligence chatter is essentially suggests that they may already be here right now, today, on American soil. Sleeper cells, nuclear-grade materials, and a regime that chants death to America with every rally. So, if they're already here, if they already have what they need, what are we waiting for? And more importantly, should we wait at all? So, while Iran races toward uranium enrichment, Russia is playing a much older, colder game. And it's one the American people cannot afford to ignore. Just days into President Trump's 50-day peace push, the Kremlin unleashed a chilling statement. If NATO continues supplying Ukraine with military defense systems, Russia reserves the right to carry out preemptive military strikes. Not retaliatory, preemptively, meaning they're ready to start some stuff, okay? So let that sink in. Russia, a nuclear superpower with hypersonic warheads and global reach, is floating the idea that they're going to strike first if we don't back down. And they're not just whispering this in a back room somewhere. They're broadcasting it on state media. Their entire population is being prepped for war logic. The West is provoking us, is what they're saying. We must strike before they do. This is the most aggressive posture that Moscow has taken since the Cuban Missile Crisis. So the question now becomes, what happens when two nuclear powers stop bluffing? Well, President Trump has already mobilized advanced defense systems, Patriots, air interceptors, NATO reinforcements. Even President Trump knows military and missile defense only buys you minutes. So, in just a few minutes, millions can die. Now, Jamie from Texas, she wasn't expecting much. And she said, I figured I'd call, maybe save a few bucks. Well, after speaking with Chapter, she walked away with a plan that's saving her $600 a year without losing any of the benefits that she needed. It was quick. She said it was free, and it made a real difference. Guys, I partnered with Chapter because they're making sure that people just like Jamie, just like you, don't fall for the cracks, okay? So isn't it wonderful to go through life knowing you don't owe anybody anything? That's the feeling of working with Chapter, guys. You don't owe them anything to find out, just to find out if they can help you out. It's a totally free call, and I've left the number down below. Give them a call right now. Don't hesitate. See how much money you can save today. Phone number is 909-563-8279. Better yet, hit them up on their website at askchapter.org/Ron. Trust me, one conversation could change everything. Now, I want to talk about another powder keg, Syria. While the United States is warning of escalation, Israel has gone full throttle. Just hours ago, Israeli fighter jets bombed the capital city of Damascus, and they're not backing down. Why? Because according to the Israeli government, militias loyal to Syria's new regime are preparing to massacre the Druze minority near the Israeli border. Now, Israel called it a preemptive humanitarian strike, a bold claim that sparked immediate blowback from the international community. But here's where it gets a little messy. The Trump administration, while urging restraint, isn't throwing Israel under the bus. Why? Because President Trump understands that abandoning allies under fire signals weakness to both the enemies and to our friends. U.S. intelligence is now split at this point. Some analysts say Israel's claims are exaggerated. Others are saying real evidence of mass killings. So, who do we believe? Is Israel a heroic defender of an oppressed minority, or a military power stoking the flames for a global war? Well, Trump's approach: controlled retaliation. Send a message, draw a line, but don't ignite a fire unless it's your last option. But while Israel's unleashing missiles and Russia threatens first strikes, there's one leader quietly holding out an olive branch. Well, here's something the mainstream media won't emphasize, but it disrupts their never-ending war narrative. And so this is why they're not going to do it. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy has made it rather clear. He is ready to negotiate. He's ready to end this. He wants peace. But while the West sends weapons and Russia issues ultimatums, one man has gone totally silent: Vladimir Putin. Why? Because Putin sees chaos as leverage. Every missile fired, every city leveled, every NATO headline is fuel for his own agenda. And so while Zelenskyy shows a willingness to deal, Putin refuses to engage, hoping the West will eventually crack. But here's where President Trump steps in. Rather than playing defense or cutting blank checks, President Trump is forcing the issue. He's launched a 50-day peace framework, giving world leaders a choice: come to the table or prepare for the consequences. So you see, guys, this is not the old hope and wait diplomacy strategy. This is peace through strength, peace through pressure, and peace through whatever measure necessary. And for the first time in years, Europe and NATO are starting to listen. Under President Trump's 50-day initiative, the U.S. military is working around the clock to rush Patriot missile systems and critical air defense platforms into Ukrainian hands. But what's the difference, right? I'll tell you what's different right now. America's not paying for it alone anymore. Trump made it clear The days of the U.S. being the world's wallet are over. NATO allies and Canada are stepping up financially and militarily because Trump drew a line. This is the America First doctrine fully realized. If you want our help, you share the cost. If you want our weapons, you commit to peace. And it's working. Europe is finally showing signs of unity. Military production is ramping up, and enemies, they're no longer laughing. Now, here's where things get even more complicated and far more dangerous. After Israel bombed Syrian military positions in Damascus, claiming they were stopping a potential massacre of the Druze minority, U.S. intelligence analysts fired back. They're now saying that there's no verified evidence of any genocide plans. Now, let me ask you, who do we trust? A frontline ally dealing with chaos on their border, or some analysts thousands of miles away behind a desk? This is the split inside the West. This is the split inside the West that our enemies pray for. Doubt, division, disunity. But once again, President Trump's, he's not taking the bait. He's smarter than that, okay? He is not attacking Israel, and he's not blindly endorsing them either. He's doing what a real leader does. He's holding the line. Strategic restraint, not surrender. Caution, not collapse. That's how Trump operates. And the leadership is that kind of leadership, guys. This is the only thing that's keeping us from being yanked into a regional conflict that Russia and Iran would love to see spiral. So here's what should keep you up at night. These threats are not isolated. They're coordinated. Iran and Russia, they may have different languages, different geographies, but they have one shared mission: undermine the United States and destabilize the West. And they're doing it together. Cyber warfare, proxy militias, disinformation campaigns, nuclear brinkmanship. Whether it's Moscow's threats against NATO or Tehran's warnings of dirty bombs on American soil, the pressure is coming from both sides. It's not a coincidence. This is a playbook. And right now, we're watching that playbook unfold in real time. The only question left is this: how long can the United States afford to react second? While diplomats hold press conferences and analysts debate maps, President Trump didn't wait. In a quiet but coordinated strike, U.S. and Israeli forces targeted key Iranian nuclear facilities, crippling parts of their enrichment program. Yes, some insiders say it set them back by years. Others are saying only months. But Trump didn't just strike. He sent a message. We obliterated their sites, and we will do it again. This was not posturing. This wasn't optics. This was a surgical warning shot, a line in the sand that Russia and Iran can no longer afford to misread. And make no mistake, if they cross that line again, the next strike will not be quiet. Trump's America doesn't beg for peace. It demands it from a position of unmatched power. And now we face the ultimate question. Iran is threatening nuclear enrichment beyond anything we've seen since the Cold War. Russia is openly entertaining the doctrine of a preemptive nuclear strike, and both regimes are testing the boundaries of U.S. patience. So what do? Do we wait, knowing that, they could be days or maybe even hours away from launching an attack? Or do we strike first, knowing full well that one wrong move could start World War III? Well, this isn't theatrical anymore, guys. This is not theoretical. This is now a real conversation happening at the highest levels of the Trump White House, at the Pentagon, inside NATO. Because here's the truth. No matter what we choose, the era of peace by default is over. This is the new world. Prevention or provocation, strength or surrender. So I'm going to ask you guys right here, right now, what would you choose? Should America wait and risk a nuclear strike on our cities, or should we take decisive action right now and risk global war? I want you to let me know what you think in the comments. This may be the most important decision of our lifetime. And if you believe the American people deserve the truth, the full picture, not some filtered version the corporate media is feeding us, then don't just watch, like, subscribe, share this video, because silence right now is the most dangerous weapon of all. And stay tuned, guys, because this next video about to pop up here, this will show you why China is watching all of this and what they're planning while the world looks away. You're not going to want to miss that. We'll see you next time.